Hi, guys. I'm Sananda,
I'm Becky.
and we're here today to talk to parents and caregivers and babysitters. Basically, anybody who takes care of little ones during the day. We have some great resources for you specifically today. So today we want to talk about chores and routine and just your day. So this is the time of year that I know for me especially, but I think everybody is looking for a little more structure. It just naturally has always happened around August, September, probably because this is when we all started school and summer's coming to an end. And so we feel like this is a good time to put this stuff in front of you because you're probably looking for some of those things too. So we just want to give you a few things, but also link articles to this video below of breaking down a little more of what we're talking about. It's where we got our resources from. We just want to kind of give you a summary of it, but also encourage you to read those articles to dive deeper into those things. So we really want to look at, we say chores, housework. That word sometimes seems a little negative, but we're hoping to change that. So we're going to talk today about why kids should have routines and do chores and kind of ways that you can make that a more motivating and positive experience in your home. So the Parent Queue is a partner of our curriculum that we kind of draw a lot of our resources from, and they have some really great articles that we have been reading, and we wanted to share. One of the things that they approach with chores is that it's not just a to-do list for them to complete. It's more about ultimately we're all raising adults, right? We're not raising children. Our goal is to raise our children to be adults. So with that in mind, everything's kind of funneled through that, through all the things that we're going to talk about today. But something that they talked about, two things I wanted to point out that they talked about is being a good citizen and being a good steward. And if you think about that through the idea of chores, it talks about how your home is essentially like the first place that you're a citizen of, which is really cool. I didn't really ever think about it that way. Being a good citizen in your home will prepare you to be a good citizen in your community as an adult. And so a good citizen is responsible, respectful, caring, all those things. And then being a good steward, it's not always money driven, but we do use money as far as chores go. But really the biggest part of stewarding is time. Every kid has time, right? We all have that time that we can teach them to steward well. So time and money, both things, but good citizens, good stewards are where I feel it's a great way to start funneling this. So parents, if you value serving in your home and you value those things, obviously housework is a great teaching tool in your home to start with. We think about all the things. Becky and I value very much the teaching tools of chores, responsibility, housework, things like that. So instead of thinking about doing your chores, we want to help kind of retrain our thinking into training your kids to help others and to look for ways to contribute, which is through the power of initiative. Initiative is seeing something that needs to be done and doing it. And I'm sure you've seen your kid, like you can walk through your house and step all over Legos and that's all you see. But your kids somehow can walk by and it's like they're invisible. They don't see them and it's like, why are you not seeing this? So it's starting to connect that initiative to where as they grow up, they walk by those things and they see it and they see that need there and they see that desire to be a good citizen and to contribute to their home and contribute to their family and in helping others. So trying to create that mindset is the goal. Not to be perfect, not to do it perfectly. That's a big barrier I would love to break down is, yes, you're expected to make your bed, but we're not going to go in there and rip apart everything they did wrong. Because again, we're just teaching them how to steward the time it takes and to see that need and feel proud of themselves. So we're going to break that apart a little bit. And Becky's going to give us some things. When we talk about routine, we are talking about sets of events that are not confined to time. So you've got your schedule, yes. But the reality is most people aren't eating dinner at 6:15 every single day. They're not able to get their kids in the bed at 8 o'clock every night. Bath time at 7:30. It's unrealistic, and it just sets us up for failure. So we're leaning more towards the idea of routines, which are events that happen in certain orders, but not confined to time. So say you go stay the night with grandma, or you go, on vacation to the beach. The routine can still work no matter what time it is. And so your children see this order of events that happen, the consistency in that. So we will be talking more in a routine base versus like the time. And so Becky's going to give some things that she has gotten out of the article that kind of have to do with the routine and why it's important.
Yeah. First, I've taken care of kids for a really, really long time. 20 years. And I have 2 kids, and I just am really just drawing from those experiences. But I have a passion for consistency with kids, and I think that is super important. Routines help create that consistency. Because of that consistency, it helps to develop trust with the kids. And through that routine, you help to set expectations for kids. And that opens up, kids being able to have intentional moments with you. And those 4 things, the consistency, the trust, the expectations, and the intentional moments, help kids feel secure. They know roughly what's going to happen, during the day, and like Sananda said, whether it's at their house or at grandma's house, if there's that consistency throughout wherever they go, it helps them feel secure. And because of that security, they can thrive better and they can learn better, because, that anxiety is not there. And so I always am very conscious of, trying to be consistent with kids, whether it's, here at church or it's at home, or, if a child comes into my home and I'm taking care of them, just being conscious of what they do, not just in my presence, but everywhere else. And it does help ease their anxiety a little bit. They can, they know what to expect with that routine. And
I talked about the predictability. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And being able to know what's coming. If you think about it as an adult, when you know what's coming, it's a lot less scary as an adult, even. I mean, preparing for this video, we were like, here's an article, you read this. Let's, imagine if we just woke up today and said, let's just tape a video. It would have been much more overwhelming to us. So if it does that to us as adults, imagine what it would do, how it is for kids. Right. So the anxiety, easing that, and the consistency is, I think that's a big deal. And the consistency, it might seem mundane, but it's not to your kids. They need to know what's coming.
And I think us as adults, we can very easily, we know what's going to happen. So we tend to not communicate that to them. And it's really important to kind of communicate every single day. It might be the same thing that you do, but you're still communicating it. And that is, you being intentional and helping develop all that trust. And trust helps ensure the kids that their needs are going to be met. They don't have to question, if certain things are going to happen. Okay, is mommy going to put me to bed, or daddy going to put me to bed, or, is this going to happen, or whatever like that. It helps to develop that trust when we have a routine set. It might be dinner, and then, after that is pajamas, and then, brushing teeth or bath time or whatever. And those aren't, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, but it's a certain event that happens. And because that event happened, this event happens, and it just builds their confidence and their trust, and they know what to expect. And I think expectations, when we set them in place, it opens up the ability for kids to become more independent, which also leads into them being a good citizen of their home. Yeah, and it creates, obviously creating confidence creates independence, because, say we put our pajamas on every day at the same time, things like that. If they know that's coming, eventually the goal is to see them. I just had dinner. I need to go put on my pajamas. And as your kids get older,
the feeling when they walk out and they're like so proud of themselves and they say, look at me. And it's probably not the ones you would have picked out. Things like, it's probably Christmas and pajamas in April, but that's okay. We celebrate that because they're starting to become independent. And again, that is the goal, is to raise these independent adults. And they kind of, and you can just see how proud they are that they did that and that they helped you in the process, and they can see that when you're just so proud of them. So the expectations and building that trust, I think, definitely opens up the door for the ultimate goal is start to feel more confident and less fearful of a lot of things, and then like you said, you have less of a power struggle and you have less meltdowns and fits and stuff because there is consistency. There is trust. There is expectations. Think about it even as an adult, how much those three things can help eliminate you getting frustrated and getting upset, So it's the same applies for our kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then those three allow for moments for intentionality. Being intentional with your kids. You have to be intentional to set this routine. And then as they grow more confident and they trust you and the process and what's happening throughout the day, moments open up to where, you can talk to them about their day, because you don't have that power struggle of, yes, you need to go put your pajamas on right now, and arguing and whatnot that can happen at bedtime or whatever. They know what's going to happen and they can initiate that, and you're able to talk to them about their day and
So the important stuff can happen then.
Right.
So you're not spending your whole evening battling it out and trying to, confusing and frustration. And instead, now you've opened that window up. And so I can read them a story, and it's a lot less peaceful, or I can have conversations with them that I'd like to have about their day. And so that is what all those lead to, is that great margin of time that your routine has now allowed. And so you think about all the things, the independence and the self-control too is something else that they talked about. How if you know that you don't do this until these two things happen, you're learning self-control and patience. Like, well, there's no need for me to sit here and argue about this because I know when it's coming. And these things don't happen overnight. Routine obviously is built into the definition. It needs to reoccur for an extended period of time before you start to see a lot of the fruit from that. So don't think that 2 days in that it's all going to come together. It's not. And that's the thing. Routines will get thrown off. But knowing that order, it's easy to kind of, okay, let's restart button. We're going to start tonight and we're going to get back into that routine because now you have it built in. So it's much easier if you get derailed to get back on track, which you will get derailed.
Yes.
People will, kids can get sick, things like that. But at least you have that guidance now to kind of get you back on track. So there's a lot more content we could throw out there, but it is built in. We do have articles, and we would love to discuss this further with anyone who wants to reach out to us. In your kid kit this week, we also threw in these cute little daily schedules. There's a girl and a boy side, but it's broken down into your morning, afternoon, evening, and nighttime routines. So this is just something. You don't have to use this one. You can Pinterest your own or whatever, but this is something to help guide you and remind you to start being a little more intentional with your routines and talk about it as a family. What does it look like? And don't try to go too much against the grain of what you're already doing. See when things are working and when things aren't working. But some specific things you can do. I would suggest starting small. That's a big thing that's worked for us, is we're not expecting a whole entire load of laundry to be folded the first time. We're expecting, take your stack of laundry to your room. Maybe you now can put your socks in the drawer, things like that. So start small, and remember the goal isn't to check off this list. So we're thinking about character building here. What are things that can help them build that pride in them of independence, and funnel the things you ask them to do towards that. And you'll find yourself less kind of naggy about those things.
And be mindful of things that they're already doing that, like when we think of chores, we think of jobs or things you have to specifically say, go and do this. But, if they're already mindful of a pet at home, and they, like my daughter, she's 3, she loves to get our dog water. That's something that, I intentionally say, hey, will you go and get her water? And she'll grab the little water cup and fill the water bowl. And I see that as one of her chores, and it's just becoming a part of our routine, and it's helping her gain that independence, and helping her
And
at
also
home.
windows of time is something. I have a teenager and a 3-year-old and a 10-year-old, so I've kind of got all over the spectrum. And my teenager, something that I noticed with her, it's best to give a window of time instead of just barking, do this right now. You'll find that, before you go to sleep tonight, this needs to be done. And, that gives them the independence too to learn how to steward their time. I need to, and they're not going to get it right several times. And they're going to realize, oh, I didn't leave enough time to do that. But again, you're teaching in these moments, not fussing. You're teaching. Okay, well, we'll try again. And so if my daughter didn't get to the dishes the night before and I woke up the next day, instead of fussing at her, the next morning, well, you didn't do it. It was like, okay, well, I did them for you this morning, but, we'll work on it. And she sees like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do better tonight because I don't want my mom to have to do that. And it was more the mindset of helping me versus just listening to me bark orders at her and being bossed around all the time.
And that's teaching grace.
Yes, absolutely. So that was our next thing, is giving grace and patience. That is the thing you're going to have to give the most. Yes. I promise. But giving grace and patience in all of those moments is what's teaching them to give grace to themselves and give grace to other people. And again, there's the good citizenship right there, because in their adult life, they will have to learn what grace and patience are in every aspect of their life. So thinking about that adult you're raising, not just the child that you are just trying to get through the day, you're looking at an adult, that your goal is that adult, to be a good citizen. So choosing times to discuss your expectations wisely is another thing that I feel is important. Yeah. You don't want to do this on your way to school in the morning before you're not going to see them, or on the way to childcare before you're not going to see them all day. Around the dinner table is a good time where you're all sitting there and you're face to face and you can discuss these things in more detail. Sometimes they can wait. They don't have to be discussed right away. Let's wait until we can sit down and discuss this with a better attitude. So choosing those times obviously is important too. And then specifically what they can start doing. We have some resources that we're going to put here too that are age appropriate, and you can go through the list and kind of see, oh, that might actually be something I haven't thought about doing. But you've got kind of your self-care routine where their expectations are like, get up and brush your teeth, change your clothes, and make your bed. But then you've also got that where it gets a little bit more into extra stuff, helping with dishes, folding the laundry, and things like that. So make sure you're kind of mixing in a little bit of both of those things. Do you have anything else you want to add?
If you haven't checked out the Parent Q app, I highly, highly recommend that. It has a lot of really great articles, and I downloaded it this week, and just kind of flipping through some of the articles and things like that is a really good resource to have.
Yeah, so we are here for you, and we would love to keep walking through this season with you and adding more resources, so stay tuned. We have some more videos coming with other leaders in the church that we're bringing in, other moms, just to see what they do. The goal is to let you know you're not alone, and that we are all in this together, and that just know that we're praying for you guys daily, and we cannot wait to be able to be back in these classrooms full of children again.
Yes.